Bluey is possibly the greatest sitcom of the last 6 years, and the New York Times has apparently come out against it. Why? Because fathers are too present. The greatest show on Disney Plus, and possibly the greatest show on streaming right now, is under attack from the former newspaper of record. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. I am Jonas J. Campbell, and I am an investigative reporter for That Park Place. I am here today with my great compatriot, WDW Pro. Pro, how you doing?
It is good to be here to talk about chinchillas.
Yes, we are also going to talk about chinchillas.
Oh, yes, and puppies. Puppies,
Yes.
of course, too, yes.
Because New York Times, I don't know if they're trying to do a favor to the Daily Wire by posting this in here. This is going to be a looser form discussion because, my goodness.
Well, Jonas, if you
New York
wanted to,
Times, what are you doing?
throw an assist to a cartoon, compare it to Bluey, and I would say that's an assist because, folks, we're here to tell you, I have never seen a preschool show be the top television show across the nation. That is, it's unbelievable, and yet Bluey repeatedly has been the number one show on Nielsen, as well as regularly placing in the top 4 on Nielsen, which would indicate to me that in this generation, it's not Cheers that we're watching, it's not Frasier, it's not Home Improvement, it's not any number of shows we could come up with. No, it's a preschool doggy show, cartoon, animated, of course, Bluey. That's the show of our time.
Now, have you actually gotten the chance to watch some of this now, Pro? Have you been indoctrinated into the cult of the blue dog?
I will have to say that when Bluey is on near me, although it's not a show that I would seek out for myself, I am constantly amazed at the quality of the show, and I can see why people are drawn to it.
Yes, in the same. And when we started watching it was back when we had less of an issue with Disney. It is a show that is on Disney Plus. Disney has the American rights to rebroadcast and stream in the United States. This is produced by the Australian Broadcasting Company and then licensed out to the British Broadcasting Company, ABC to BBC, then to Disney Junior, which Disney Junior, not long for this world. Most of that is headed over to Disney Plus. But this story for Bluey is out of the New York Times. They say the fantasy of the fun TV dad. Oh, what a world we live in. In the children's series Bluey and its conservative
Wait a minute, Jonas. Are they saying that a fun dad is fantasy?
That would appear to be the case.
I feel sorry for these people. They needed a better male role model in their life, perhaps.
I agree with you. Dads can't be fun all the time if they're working, but guess what? It is a great thing for families to find joy in each other. We barely have to get into this article in order to point out the fatal flaw here. The fantasy of the fun TV dad. The fantasy of the fun dad is what I'm seeing here, and I'm gonna say whoever's writing this article, what's her name here? Amanda Hess. I got to say, Amanda, I wish you had a more joyous childhood. Even if you had a joyous childhood, I'm not sure what produced this headline here. But let's get into your work. In the first episode of Bluey, the Australian children's series about an animated family of blue heelers, the mama dog, Chilla, drives off to work, leaving her husband Bandit to care for the pups. They play a game requiring Bandit to freeze in increasingly silly scenarios. Fingers in his nose, a sock on his tail, garden hose blasting him right in the face. Much of the series is a showcase for Bandit's virtuosic performances in his daughter's imaginative schemes. In subsequent episodes, he serves as their beleaguered hospital patient, beleaguered robot, and beleaguered horse.
This feels to me like the Ivy League equivalent of saying he plays with his daughters. He actually participates in pretend.
Yeah. What are you supposed to do? Would this be better if he sat them down in front of a video game, handed them a fake controller, and then proceeded to blow people away in Fortnite? Is that?
I don't know. I mean, is she critical of this? I'm struggling here to understand what is the fascinating and unique part of this that we need to concentrate an entire paragraph on. Good dads play with their kids. That's it. They put blocks on top of blocks. They wrestle. They pretend. Geez, this is groundbreaking animation here.
Well, and Bluey is being described as rare and complex because of this. Bandit has been commended as an exceptional father. Tribute is paid in the Bandit Facebook groups, Bandit memes, and custom Bandit fan merchandise. I went and looked, and yeah, Bandits. First of all, this is a testament to a well-written show that it has a fan base that transcends its original market. Disney used to be in that space. You would think you would think this would be something to be praised, to have something that transcends its original market, but instead we've got this lady seems to have a problem with the fact that this is a present dad. What would we prefer? That the dad is nowhere to be found? I mean, Peanuts with the trumpet sounds. We just have the kids playing, doing everything on their own, and the parents are, I don't know, taking a nap, drinking some wine. What is the preference here? Pro, describe.
I think she's trying to be cheeky, if I can steal an Australian term. I think perhaps the writer is just being cheeky. There's no way that she can possibly find a flaw in this.
Well, other than I do find a flaw in using the word beleaguered several times in a row. That is not enough of a fun word for me to accept that you have used it over and over and over again.
Well, it looked fancy in the thesaurus.
It did. It did. There's so many unnecessary vowels in the word beleaguered. Let's see. In one episode, Bandit dances into the kitchen, shouts, "What's up, party people?" and plops a basket of freshly folded laundry on the floor. I don't know how he keeps house, works as an archaeologist, and serves as a full-time prop artist to his daughters, but he does it all while only feigning complaint. He is not only a good father, he is a fantasy, one crafted to appeal to adults as much as children. Now, Pro, if I were to replace all of these male pronouns here with feminine ones, if I were to say, if I don't know how she keeps house, works as an archaeologist, and serves as a full-time prop artist to her daughters, would this be an affirming and empowering statement about a great stay-at-home mom?
There's a great Joe Rogan bit where he comes out and talks about the fact that men cannot critique women, and he says, "Watch," and then he critiques women and says, "Women, what's going on with inventions? You just don't invent enough stuff." And then he laughs about how the men who laughed at that joke are going to face the ire of their ladies on the way home. I'm sort of the same mindset on this. You can just for being good, Bandit, the dad here, can be critiqued, but so help you, if you were to do the same for women, it would not go over well. But the thing about it is, of course, we can laugh at each other, all of us, men and women. Because we're all human. We all have flaws. There's a movement right now, and there has been for years, of course, where we have created a gender war or a battle of the sexes that should have been left on the playground when you were 4 years old. But somehow that level of juvenile thought has been promoted and promulgated at the highest levels, the upper echelons. And given what we've seen out of the Ivy Leagues lately, i.e. Some serious issues with academia, and perhaps even ripping off other people's work, even from such as presidents of Harvard, well, it's not hard to see that, unfortunately, our academics, our Ivy Leaguers, our journalists and reporters, they may not be of the same acumen that just average folks are. They may not be. And so just because this is an article that we are supposed to take seriously, it may not be a serious article.
I like your summation there in the last sentence specifically. I mean, I liked it all, but that right there at the end, I despise credentialism in most of its forms, unless we're talking about operating on a person and we need a surgeon. Mostly, I'm fine to say, is that really?
I mean, Jonas, think about it this way. Think about it this way. We're reading an article right now where someone is attempting to sound very verbose, and it's written with sophistry, and yet, if you were to really think about it, we're reading an article that's griping because a cartoon dog dad is good.
Yep. And I think this paragraph here sums it up. As I watch the show over my 3-year-old son's shoulder, I wonder what Bandit says about the latent desires of the parents queuing up the show. I'm going to get Jungian here, but more than 100 episodes are streaming on Disney Plus, with more arriving in January, which good news, unless you somehow have a service that allows you to go over to the Australian Broadcasting Company's website and lets you appear as if you are in Australia. Or maybe you could go to Australia. You can watch it all now online. After all, when I turned on Bluey, I am being very un-Bandit. I am not engaged in focused play that follows my child's imagination wherever it leads. I am cleaning. My son is staring at a screen. Sounds a little guilty. And guess
Does
what?
sound a
Yes,
little guilty.
there are parts of parenting in which you feel bad that you are not doing something else that might be fun for your children. We're not going to go on for a full 20 minutes here ranting about this article.
No, there's more articles, Jonas. Let's go look at the Atlantic, and they're griping about Big Bird. He's just too joyful, and yet I sit there pondering the latent desires of my heart to be as joyous as Big Bird. But here I sit,
Well,
watching Scrubs and having my child play in the floor without my attention.
right.
I fall short of the joy of Big Bird.
If this woman has one 3-year-old, and I'm not saying this as a man talking to a woman, I'm saying this as a parent talking to a rookie parent. If you've got one 3-year-old, and let me say, I've got multiple children. The more that they are,
He's got 3-year-olds popping out every place in the house.
And sometimes we take care of other people's kids too. The more you get into parenting, the better it is. Yes, it is difficult, and yes, there's lots to do. By the way, as they get older, 3-year-old might be a little young for this. The more you involve them in the chores, the better it is for the whole family as the whole family works together. I see Bluey as a rare respite in a world where most children's entertainment is children going off in their own and being snarky and trying to take the place of parents out as they adventure in the world and also mistreat people. They're little miscreants that get away with mocking one another and are horrible examples. Now, being a horrible example is one thing if there's some correction at the end, but there's a lesson in the end of every episode of Bluey. They generally learn the right thing. They're also weird and they're fun. Oh, here's the other thing that we neglected to talk about. The fact that in here they start talking about the quote unquote ripoff of Bluey that is Chilla.
Chilla. So
where's the photo?
So the thing about the Chilla deal too, which is a Daily Wire thing, Chilla is with any successful show, you're going to see emulation, right? So a successful sitcom is going to create a number of copycats. I don't know that Chilla is a copycat, but when a preschool show is the number one show on streaming, why would other shows not try to do the same? So Chilla, if it follows the same format, it's a formula of success. And I would say that what the irritation is for Bluey, I think, from some of these people, is that Bluey is simply healthy. It's a healthy family. They operate in a healthy way. They're weird and they're bizarre, but that's what we all are secretly behind doors. Is we're just a little bit quirky. And so I kind of feel sorry for this author. I'm sure she has a happy life and all of that, and I wish her well. But I would say that if you're threatened by Bluey, then take a step back from whatever it is that the way you view the world, and try to adopt being a healthy household that spends time together and laughs together, and begin to identify some of those areas that are not healthy in your life, and see if you can reduce those and work on those.
Yeah, I would also say, and I'm just going to do the control F here as I look for the phrase that she said about Chilla. With Chilla, conservative parents can fulfill a fantasy of their own, combating the perceived indoctrination of public school by screening homeschool themed content afterward, featuring lessons about dead white people and classic texts.
She's got some problems.
Yeah.
She struggles to understand what the word history is.
Those texts have survived for a very good reason. And who do you think some of those dead white people could be?
The founding fathers. How's that for one?
Yeah, the people who founded this country. Now, they were with flaws, but they accomplished some amazing things, and they went through a lot of adversity in waging a war against the greatest army and navy that existed on the planet in order to found this country. Although I do understand Chilla also covers non-American dead white people as well.
Let's see if we can figure out some issues here. Okay, so how is this author falling short of where she could be? How is she not achieving her full potential? One, she's assuming that it's just conservative parents. Two, she's assuming that there is a fantasy that they're involved in that has them wanting to be the purveyors of what their children would learn. Three, she is dividing people into race 4, she is denigrating people based on their race, but dead white people are less valuable than dead whatever people. 5, she is denigrating history because history matters. You need to know history, etc. She has lots of issues here that would suggest to me that she's not well suited to take on the world, but she's well suited to write an article that will be ripped apart by others as they read it. And I think we've tried to be as gentle as possible.
Right. And I don't know this person's character and anything like that. But when I look at someone mocking Bluey and also mocking Chilla at the same time, that makes it very easy to see that they need someone to beat up on here. Chilla is from Bent Key, which is owned by the Daily Wire. And if you see Chilla as a threat, it is not Bluey. And I would say that looking almost like Bluey is probably to its detriment, but also its greatest marketing aspect. When people say this reminds me of Bluey, then that is not a bad thing for your product. If they show up and they're expecting Bluey and they get Chilla, that might be more of a problem. That being said, it's a nice show. I know I've heard from a lot of families that they are enjoying Chilla, and they also very much like that they can turn it on and not worry about anything weird. The big problem with Bluey, of course, is that your kids might start speaking like little Australian children, which
And that would be cheeky.
Yep, that would be
See,
cheeky.
I did it again.
As they as mommy and daddy try to find a little bit of time to go to the dunny, as it were.
That's right. I've never heard on Bluey them use the word flashing though. Maybe you've heard that. Flashing in Australia typically means cool, right? And I never heard him use that. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think you're right. I have heard a lot of the money looks a little bit different, and they do talk about all kinds of fun things that they do together. Here's the thing: this
I
woman
like
has
Pass
come
the
after-
Parcel, by the way. The Pass the Parcel game that apparently is popular in Australia. I did not know about Pass the Parcel, and an entire episode is written about it. So,
Well, I have played Pass the Parcel, but I've only played it with adults, and it's a once a year thing. And several times I've gotten myself a little $5 Chick-fil-A gift card from winning some form of Pass the Parcel. Of course, different rules here in America. Although also that episode of Pass the Parcel is all about delayed gratification and getting something better instead of everyone getting a participant trophy and
That's
the
right.
implications of changing it. Or it's a fun episode about who gets the prize at the end. There's 2 levels to every episode of Bluey. There's the children watching them being fun, and then it is written in a way that there's another level for the adults to enjoy. I defy you to be familiar with these characters and watch an episode like Sleepy Time or the episode about the granddad who refuses to take his heartworm medicine and not see the great emotional truths that are being explored in Bluey. It gets on my nerves when people insult Bluey. I'll admit, because this is one of my favorite things right now to enjoy with my children. Pro, you set me up for a little bit of failure. You asked me what my favorite movie and show was for this year. Instead of answering what I think you were asking and what I think everyone perceived it as, I said Super Mario Brothers and Bluey because those are my favorite, not what I think are the best shows, although Bluey might be, in fact, one of the best shows on TV right now. This is a thing that we need right now. Good, clean entertainment that people can watch as a family without having to worry about having to explain parts of the world that maybe are not appropriate for 3-year-olds.
There's an episode in Bluey where it's Muffin, the cousin, has to learn that she is special to her family, but she is not special necessarily to strangers. And so that's a great lesson, I think, to be learned is that you might be a princess to those in your close proximity, but don't act like a princess to the rest of the world, or they may hate you. And so those are the kinds of lessons that are great to be learned.
Right, and there's a kid level of perceiving that entire conversation about Muffin, and you're absolutely right about that episode. Muffin is a great example in the show of misbehavior and how we handle other people who misbehave, just in the same way that Sesame Street gave us Oscar the Grouch to tell children that, yes, there are some people that are just like that. The kids get to see Muffin misbehaves and how do we handle other people that misbehave. And instead, the adults are having this argument about whether or not she's autistic. Which is to say, this is a show for children, and adults don't get into all that. Pro, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Only that if you feel judged by Bluey, perhaps the problem is not Bluey, and if there are shows out there emulating Bluey, it's a sign of its success, not necessarily a sign of wrongdoing on those who say, that seems to work really well. We'd like to try that as well. It turns out that Lowe's and Home Depot both sell hammers for a good reason.
Also, Hammer Barn. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for sticking with two dads talking about Bluey. One of them much more enthusiastic than anyone should speak about a show about a family of cartoon dogs. Like this video. If you like this video, share it out on social media. If you also feel personally attacked by the New York Times, thank you so much. Please subscribe to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.